In the US, there is just one trained menopause specialist for every 83,000 women. A GBYN on average receives 4 hours of menopause training. A GP receives 0. This is not a minor gap in healthcare, it's a Grand Canyon. And this explains the exact reason why so many women feel unseen and left completely in the dark trying to manage menopause by themselves. You're dealing with the largest hormonal shift that you ever will go through in your entire life by yourself. My name is Laura Lambe. I'm a member of the British Menopause Society, registered menopause practitioner, and founder of the Menopause Lab. In this video, I'm going to show you why the traditional approach to managing menopause so often leaves women like yourself shooting in the dark, and how asking the right questions gets you feeling more like yourself again. This is part 2 in a 3-part mini-series to help menopausal women just like you finally feel like themselves again. The first thing we need to understand is the system that we usually go to for help actually wasn't built for menopause. I'm sure this sounds familiar. You go to your GP, telling them you feel fatigued, exhausted, can't sleep, anxious, joints are feeling sore, weight is going up. And they look at you and tell you everything is normal. They tell you it's your age. They tell you your bloods look fine. And they send you on your way with maybe an anxiety med or some supplements, or even telling you to come back when things get worse. Unfortunately, research shows it can take women up to 10 separate GP appointments over the course of nearly 7 years to get a confirmed menopause diagnosis. This is why menopause feels so hard. Menopause is normal, but struggling through it alone is not. But unfortunately, because there is no education in our health world on menopause, that's exactly what you've been left to do. Right now, we have what we call fragmented care. You go to a GP, a functional doctor, whoever it may be, and because that individual is not trained to connect the dots in menopause, you leave with something to treat your sleep, maybe a sleep aid. Then you leave with something else to treat your weight, maybe another diet. Then you're left with a supplement to treat your brain fog. And all of a sudden, you have this long shopping list of all these things to do, but yet you're still feeling worse and worse and worse. And that's because menopause symptoms are not randomly happening at the exact same time. They couldn't be more connected. But because the individual who is trying to connect them is not trained to connect the dots, you're left dancing in the dark, not knowing why things are getting worse and worse instead of better. How many of you have sat in your car after your appointment not knowing whether to feel relieved because you're told it's not early signs of dementia, the reason why you're walking into rooms and forgetting your words, or fall into a state of tears because you get absolutely no real answers and you've been sent away to continue the struggle? You barely recognize the woman you've become, and this system just told you everything looks normal. The gap between what the test and the blood says and what you feel day to day is not in your head. Imagine your car has broken down. You wouldn't randomly start changing the wheels and the radio and the engine without ever taking a step back to think, why is my car broke? But when it comes to our menopausal health, this is exactly what the GPs are doing. You go into a GP office and you say, I'm not feeling well. And they throw this and that and this. Instead of stepping back to think, why is the car broke, or why is my body feeling broke? And hence again, this is what we call fragmented care. This is what makes it feel worse, because we have loads of umbrella terms in menopause. And let's take a very easy example like sleep, which 80% of the women come to us struggling with. So the vast majority of women struggle with sleep, which is an umbrella term, but one woman may struggle to fall asleep. Another woman may struggle to stay asleep. But unfortunately, they typically leave with the same solution, a sleep aid or a magnesium supplement. When in reality, the protocol to help somebody who's struggling to fall asleep is very different to the protocol that a woman is struggling to stay asleep. This is a foundational blind spot that almost every piece of mainstream menopause advice completely misses. You can take all the magnesium supplements until you're blue in the face, but if your problem is to stay asleep, those magnesium supplements are never going to help because they are to help people to fall asleep. So if you're not able to stay asleep because of night sweats or getting up to go to the bathroom or those random 1 a.m. bright-eyed bushy-tailed moments, a magnesium supplement is not going to help that. Let's take another one, joint pain. If you're having hand pain or knee pain, that's typically a sign of inflammation compared to somebody who is having lower back pain. That's a sign that that person needs a pelvic floor screening. So again, you can take all the anti-inflammatories until you're blue in the face, but if you actually need to do pelvic floor exercises, that's never going to help. And this is why menopause healthcare is so hard, because there is no one-size-fits-all magic hack, despite what social media tries to tell us to do. I could sit with you and your friend who are also going through menopause, and you would both probably leave our conversation with two very different protocols. Because we're not trying to figure out what are the right things for everybody, we're trying to figure out what's the right thing for you and the symptoms that you're struggling with right now. Same umbrella term like sleep or joint pain, but a completely different driver, hence a completely different solution. This is why generic blanket advice feels so frustrating. It's not because it's wrong. A lot of it can be right. It's just not right for you. It's because it's simple. It's not specific enough to read your changing symptoms or to understand what are your symptoms actually telling you. The supplement that worked for your friend, the diet that your sister swears by, the advice your doctor gave you, none of it could be wrong. It's just not right for you. And until somebody figures out what your symptoms are and what's the pattern behind all of your symptoms, you're going to be struggling forever. And by the way, if you're fed up of every time you open social media, somebody else is selling you another magic supplement with the word menopause conveniently stuck on it, then just join my school community. The link is in the description below, and DM me the word audit and I'll send it straight over to you. And you'll be able to see exactly what supplements that you should be taking and what are a complete waste of your money. So what I love to tell women just like yourself are your symptoms are clues, they're not conclusions. So we don't treat the symptom label, we treat what's driving the symptom. So we don't treat broken sleep, we treat what's causing your broken sleep. We don't treat weight gain, we treat what's driving your weight. We don't treat joint pain, we treat what's driving the joint pain. And unfortunately, because so much of healthcare and what we see on social media is about the labels and the top line symptoms, so many women like yourself are doing everything. They're eating healthy, they're exercising, they're doing all the supplements, they're doing everything they're told, and they're still feeling tired, low energy, walking into rooms and not knowing why you're there, struggling with your anxiety, just not feeling like yourself. And that's because you're trying to treat the top line symptom label and not what's driving it. Let me give you a quick example. So we could have a menopausal woman who is struggling with broken sleep, who is struggling with weight around her core, who is struggling with random bloating, who is struggling with anxiety across the day, and struggling with brain fog and so on. And she could be then thinking she has 6, 7, 10 different menopause symptoms that all need these unique solutions, i.e. a full shopping list to feel like herself again. When in reality, actually these symptoms are all connected. They're not randomly happening at the same time. The broken sleep could be a sign of cortisol dysregulation, which is usually a main driver of the weight around the core, which is also a main driver of anxiety, which is also a main driver of brain fog. Hence, when you learn to know what is driving the symptom, it becomes a lot easier because this woman doesn't need 10 different solutions. She needs a solution to work on her cortisol dysregulation, which in turn will be a large domino into treating everything else. So it becomes a lot easier. When you address the driver, not the multiple different symptoms, things begin to shift simultaneously. And this isn't a coincidence because, like I've said, our body is not randomly falling apart. There is typically 1, maybe 3 main drivers that's causing all these different symptoms in on top. Unfortunately, you've been chasing symptoms for years, managing your brain fog, then your broken sleep, then your energy, then your anxiety, then your weight gain. It's exhausting. It's not because you're doing it wrong, it's because you've never been shown the pattern underneath, i.e. the main driver. Once you see it, you can't stop seeing it. Everything begins to change. Not just that one thing, but everything. And this is where you can go from feeling stuck and trying many different things for years to actually seeing symptom relief within a matter of weeks. And this brings us to the most important takeaway that I want you to remember from this video. The reason nothing has worked before is not because of you're not trying. You're probably actually trying more than ever before. It's because unfortunately you've been doing the wrong thing. Our body has changed, so the approach to looking after it must also change. Most menopause advice was built with a one-size-fits-all approach. To reduce menopause symptoms is not about collecting more and more right things. It's actually about just figuring out what's the right thing for your symptom pattern. You don't need more information. You need clarity. You probably already have too much information. All the advice on social media and your doctors, they're not wrong. They can be good advice, like magnesium supplements are not bad. But if you don't have an issue with falling asleep, they're not right for you. Fasting is not bad, but if you have signs of cortisol regulation, it's actually probably going to make your matters worse. So you can have right directions, they're just to the wrong house. This is exactly what we do inside the Menopause Lab, where we support a community of over 60,000 women just like yourself. Remember that broken car I told you about sitting in your driveway where your doctor has got you to try to change the radio, change the tire, change the engine, and not actually taking a step back to figure out why it's broken? That's exactly what we do over inside the Menopause Lab. We don't look at symptoms in isolation. We don't have you standing in your driveway, changing your engine and not knowing why, and then trying this, and then trying that, and then trying this. We actually identify the root cause. We figure out exactly what you need to do and make sure you only do that. You don't need more information. You need somebody to look at what is actually happening in your body and tell you exactly what it means and exactly what to do. The exhausting isolation of asking, what's wrong with me, ends when somebody finally gives you the right answer to that question. The last thing I want to address in this video isn't really about knowing what to do. It's more so about actually doing it. Because unfortunately, in the health world at the minute, we are always trying to do more and more. And we're usually starting the week with great intentions, thinking we have this great plan, thinking we know what to do, and then by Wednesday, your kid gets sick, or your boss asks you to do something else, or you need to work late. And then all of a sudden, you go from trying to do everything to look after your health to nothing at all. That all or nothing exhausting cycle that I'm sure you've been stuck in many times. The vast majority of women that I speak to are trying to do it all. They're trying to get their 10,000 steps. They're trying to do all the supplements. They're trying to cook their food like a chef that they see on Instagram. But unfortunately, it's not realistic inside of your life. So what we actually need to do is two things. We need to figure out what you need for your symptoms in menopause, but we also need to figure out how to do it realistically inside of your life. Because it's not about just being told what to do, it's making sure that you can do it long enough to actually see the results. And this brings us to the most important takeaway that I want you to remember from this video. You do not have 10, 15, 20 different standalone menopause symptoms. You have one or two main drivers. And what we need to do to get ourselves off the hormonal roller coaster is stop putting our energy into trying to figure out all the different solutions for your sleep, your brain fog, your energy, your anxiety, your hot flashes, whatever it may be, and actually learn how to symptom map, how to take these long list of symptoms and map them to your main drivers. In the final part of this 3-part mini series, that's exactly what I'm going to do in the next video. I'm going to teach you the mapping process, how to take your long list of menopausal symptoms and map them into 1 or 2 main drivers and teach you exactly what to do to get yourself off the hormonal roller coaster. So I'll see you in the next video.